I told my sister her son is only special to her. My nephew Tyler is 8, and my sister acts like he invented sliced bread. Last week at my mom's birthday dinner, she brought out her phone and made the whole table watch a 10-minute video of him doing jumping jacks in their backyard. When he missed counting from 7 to 9. She said he was being creative with numbers. I tried to change the subject, but she kept going. The real problem started when Tyler decided he was bored during mom's birthday cake moment. While we were all singing happy birthday, he started making loud monkey noises and jumping on the couch. My sister just smiled and said he was expressing himself through movement and sound. When my mom asked him to please stop so she could blow out her candles, he threw his juice box at the wall, and it exploded everywhere. My sister actually clapped and said, "Look how strong his arm is getting." I grabbed paper towels to clean the wall while everyone else sat there stunned. Then Tyler started licking frosting off the cake with his finger before anyone had even gotten a piece. My sister said he was showing appreciation for Grandma's special day. That's when I lost it. I looked at my sister and said, "Tyler isn't special to anyone except you. The kid has no manners, no self-control, and you're raising him to think the world revolves around him." She got this shocked look on her face like I had just told her Santa wasn't real. She started saying how Tyler was gifted and advanced for his age. I pointed out that most 8-year-olds know not to throw things at walls and lick communal food. Then she brought up how he could read chapter books. So I reminded her that lots of kids his age could read chapter books without acting like wild animals at family dinners. My mom tried to calm things down, but my sister was already packing up Tyler's stuff. She said I was jealous because I didn't have kids and couldn't understand how special her son was. Tyler was in the corner pulling apart my mom's decorative flowers while she defended him. Before leaving, my sister announced that Tyler wouldn't be coming to any more family events where people didn't appreciate his uniqueness. My dad actually looked relieved when she said that. After they left, my mom said the dinner was much more peaceful. 2 days later, my sister texted saying Tyler had been asking why Uncle Mike was so mean to him. I texted back that I wasn't mean. I just expected basic human behavior from an 8-year-old. She replied with 3 paragraphs about how gifted children are often misunderstood by society. The next family barbecue happened without them. My cousin brought her twin 5-year-olds who actually said please and thank you, shared their toys, and helped clean up after themselves. My mom kept commenting on how well behaved they were. My dad said it was nice to have a conversation without someone screaming or throwing food. My sister finally showed up an hour before it ended. Tyler immediately ran to the dessert table and grabbed a whole piece of cake with his bare hands. When my cousin's daughter asked if she could have some cake, too, Tyler yelled that it was all his and tried to guard the entire table. My sister said he was practicing assertiveness skills. That's when my cousin looked at me and whispered that she totally understood why I said what I said. My mom ended up having to physically move Tyler away from the cake so other kids could have some. The worst part was when Tyler started throwing mulch from my mom's garden at the other kids. My sister said he was engaging in sensory play. One piece hit my cousin's kid in the eye and made her cry. My sister's response was that Tyler was learning about cause and effect. I pulled my sister aside and told her again that her kid wasn't special. He was just poorly behaved. She said I was damaging his self-esteem by not recognizing his gifts. I asked what gifts exactly because all I saw was a kid who couldn't function in social situations. She stormed off again with Tyler, who was now crying because someone had told him he couldn't throw mulch. Before getting in her car, she yelled that I would never understand unconditional love. My mom came outside and said she hoped Tyler would learn some boundaries before he got older. An hour after she drove away, the backyard finally felt calm again. The kids went back to playing, the adults settled into their conversations, and for the first time all day, no one was worried about what object might be thrown next. But my mind kept replaying everything: my sister's face, Tyler's meltdown, the way everyone kept pretending this was normal until it clearly wasn't. That night, I got a long message from her. Not a normal message, a full essay. She said Tyler cried himself to sleep because he felt judged and unsafe around me. She said I created a hostile emotional space for her gifted child, and that my lack of children made me ignorant about developmental differences. I didn't reply. I knew anything I said would turn into another lecture about how Tyler was misunderstood by the universe. The next morning, my mom called me. She sounded exhausted. She said my sister had blown up the family group chat at 6 a.m., accusing everyone of being anti-child and uneducated about neurodiversity. My aunt gently asked what diagnosis Tyler actually had. My sister didn't answer that, instead saying labels were harmful to gifted children. Then she announced she'd be homeschooling him. My dad muttered in the background, "God help that kid." Over the next week, more incidents happened. My sister dropped Tyler off at my mom's house so he could socialize in a safe environment. Within 15 minutes, He had broken a lamp, thrown grapes at the dog, and climbed onto the kitchen counter to dump cereal all over the floor. My mom tried to correct him gently, and he screamed that she hated him. My sister rushed in and said his behavior was a sign of advanced emotional expression. Mom called me afterward, practically whispering so she wouldn't sound cruel, and said she didn't think she could babysit him anymore. The breaking point came 3 days later at the grocery store. My sister insisted on bringing Tyler because he needed to learn responsibility. 10 minutes in, he was knocking items off shelves, grabbing candy, and hitting other cars with his own mini cart. A woman politely asked him to slow down because he almost ran into her toddler. My sister snapped at the stranger, saying she should teach her kids spatial awareness. Then Tyler tore open a bag of marshmallows and started eating them with his hands. When the store manager approached, my sister accused him of targeting high-energy gifted children. That night, my brother called me, laughing so hard he could barely talk. His coworker had texted him saying she saw a woman defending a feral child in L7. My sister had created a reputation, and not the flattering kind. Things got even worse when she tried to enroll Tyler in a summer camp. She told them he was gifted and needed creative freedom. He lasted 2 days. On the first day, he threw sand in a counselor's face because she wouldn't let him take a shovel home. On the second day, he pushed a kid off a swing because he wanted it immediately. When they called my sister to come pick him up early, she lectured them about respecting future innovators. They refunded her full payment just to avoid dealing with her again. She told the whole family the camp wasn't equipped for exceptional children. But everyone knew the truth. At this point, no one wanted to invite her anywhere. Family dinners became quieter, smoother, less chaotic. But my sister noticed. She texted the group chat asking why no one included her anymore. My mom gently said she loved her, but the constant chaos was stressful. My sister exploded again, saying the whole family was toxic and unwelcoming. I finally broke and replied, telling her we all loved Tyler. But love didn't mean letting him disrupt every event like a tornado. I said he needed boundaries, discipline, and guidance, not applause for tearing things apart. She responded with one sentence, "I won't let you dim his light, because you can't handle his brilliance." Then she blocked me. The next week, she unblocked me only to send a video of Tyler reciting a poem he wrote himself. It was actually a Dr. Seuss book with 2 words changed. She said he was entering it in a youth creativity contest. 2 days later, she sent another message. Tyler got disqualified for plagiarism. She said the judges didn't understand his genius. At this point, even I started feeling bad for the kid. He wasn't a monster, he was an 8-year-old with no one telling him no. No one teaching him empathy. No one explaining consequences. He didn't stand a chance. Last night, my mom called and said my sister finally admitted she was overwhelmed. She said Tyler had gotten suspended from an online class for yelling at the teacher and drawing on the camera with a marker. My sister cried and said she didn't know what to do anymore. Mom told her gently that maybe Tyler needed structure, boundaries, maybe even evaluation by a professional. For once, she didn't argue. She just said she'd think about it. And honestly, that's the first hopeful thing I've heard in months. Storytime: my wife wanted to divorce me because she inherited her dad's $5 million, and she didn't need me anymore. I said, "Okay, let's divorce." I sold the house and moved out. Later, she called me in panic. When Chapter 1, the $5 million shift, I still remember the way she looked at me that morning. Cold, detached, like a stranger wearing my wife's face. "We need to talk," she said, standing in the kitchen with her arms crossed. I braced myself. I'd seen the tension growing for weeks, but I never imagined what was about to come out of her mouth. "I want a divorce," she said flatly. "My dad left me $5 million. I don't need this anymore." "I don't need you." There was no anger, no tears, just cruel indifference. We had been married for 11 years. I supported her through grad school, helped her launch her bakery business, and even sold my motorcycle to cover her early inventory costs. And now that she was rich, I was just disposable. I stayed silent. She waited for me to beg, to shout, to break down. But I did in single quotes. Instead, I calmly said, "Okay, let's divorce." Her smile wavered. That wasn't the reaction she expected. But I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. Within a week, I sold the house. It had been in my name long before our marriage, a fact she had forgotten in her arrogant rush toward freedom. I handed her a check for her share of the furniture, packed my things, and moved into a small rented loft. And that should have been the end. But it was just the beginning, because 3 weeks later I got a call. It was her sobbing, screaming, "Please, you have to help me." I didn't know he took everything. I stayed silent for a moment. Then with a calm voice I said, "You should probably call your new life for help. I'm no longer your husband, remember?" She gasped, "Please just listen." But I already knew what she was about to say. And I wasn't surprised because I knew what her father had really left behind. And I had seen the other will. Chapter 2, The Hidden Truth in the Will. After I hung up on her desperate call, I poured myself a whiskey and leaned back in the creaky armchair of my new place. It wasn't luxury, but it was mine. And it was peaceful. Her voice, shaking and desperate, kept replaying in my head. And I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But then I remembered how she laughed when the real estate agent handed me the house sale contract and said, "You don't mind starting over, do you? I mean, you'll land on your feet, eventually." She never once asked how I was doing or if I had somewhere to go. Just smiled, counted her money, and moved on with her new designer-clad life. What she didn't know was that I had already spoken to her father's estate attorney weeks ago. Not by accident, but because I had a hunch. You see, her father didn't trust her. He once pulled me aside after a Thanksgiving dinner, sipping on bourbon, and muttered, "You're the only thing keeping her grounded. If she ever ditches you, you watch what happens next." Back then, I thought it was just an old man rambling. But it turns out he meant every word. The will that my wife had been celebrating, the $5 million she thought she inherited, it had a condition. A clause buried deep in the second addendum. Should my daughter separate from her husband within 90 days of my passing, allocated inheritance will be redirected to local charities and veterans programs. She filed for divorce 17 days after the funeral, and once the lawyers caught up with the paperwork, the $5 million vanished from her account like smoke in the wind. All of it frozen, transferred, gone. She had already bought a luxury car, signed a lease on a penthouse suite, given notice to her bakery staff, and replaced them with influencers and marketing consultants. Now she had nothing and she knew it. But what really stung her, what really broke her, was that I didn't warn her because I could have. I could have told her the truth about the will the moment she filed the divorce. But I didn't because I wanted her to experience the same free fall I did. The same crushing realization that life isn't about what you deserve. It's about how you treat the people who stand by you when you have nothing. And now she was the one who had nothing and no one was standing by her, not even me. Chapter 3. The Desperate Call and the Final Trap. 3 days after her account got locked and the inheritance vanished, she called again. This time no arrogance, no demands, just silence on the line. And then, "Kevin, I made a mistake." Ah, there it was. I let the silence hang just a second longer before replying. "Which one? Leaving me, filing for divorce, or assuming you keep the money?" She sniffled. "I didn't know. I thought my father never said anything about a clause." "Your father did. You just didn't listen." I could hear her breathing, uneven. She was sitting somewhere alone, probably in that overpriced penthouse, the rent of which was due in 5 days. Then she dropped the real bombshell. "Can we talk in person?" I almost laughed, but I said, "Sure. My lawyer will be there, too." She paused. "Kevin, please. No liars, just you and me like it used to be." That's when I knew she wasn't just desperate. She was plotting something, and that meant I needed to set the final part of my plan into motion. We met at the old cafe down the street from our previous home, the place where we used to share a Sunday breakfast and dream of owning a cabin in the woods someday. She looked different, not because of her designer clothes or her forced smile, but because of the fear in her eyes. It was the first time I had seen her look truly uncertain. She reached for my hand across the table. "Kevin, I didn't leave you because I didn't love you. I thought I could have more. I made a terrible miscalculation." That word miscalculation said everything. She didn't regret hurting me. She regretted betting on the wrong man. And now that she'd lost the jackpot, she wanted to come crawling back to the safe bet, me. I smiled gently. "You're right. You did make a miscalculation." She leaned forward, eyes hopeful. "So maybe we can fix this." That's when I pulled out a small black folder and slid it across the table. "Already fixed," I said. She opened it slowly. Inside, finalized divorce papers, signed, notarized, and filed with the court 2 days ago. Her face palled. You filed without telling me." "I didn't need your signature," I replied calmly. "You filed first. I just finished it." Then I stood up and added with a smile, "By Friday, you'll be free. Just like you wanted." But what she didn't know was that the real twist was coming Monday morning, because I discovered one last dirty secret, and I wasn't done yet. Chapter 4. The Hidden Account and Her Crumbling Castle. After I walked out of the cafe, leaving her stunned with the finalized divorce papers, I didn't head straight home. I went to a private investigator's office. The same man who had quietly helped me months ago when I first sensed something was off. Back then, it wasn't about the money. It was about the feeling in my gut. The late night calls she stepped out to take. The spa weekends that never showed on our joint card. The receipts from hotels and places she was never supposed to be. At first, I thought it was just infidelity. But now, I knew it was grief-fueled betrayal. And thanks to the investigator, I had the evidence 2 weeks earlier. He had uncovered something shocking. An offshore bank account opened under my name. I had never authorized it, never touched it. Yet it showed 3 separate $500,000 deposits over the course of a year. Guess whose fingerprints were all over the transfers? Yep, hers. She had been slowly transferring inheritance funds to this dummy account, probably planning to claim I had stolen it when the divorce got messy. Her plan was brilliant, if I hadn't seen it coming. But now it was evidence and it was going to blow up in her face. Her father had left her not just an inheritance, he left her a seat on the board of his company. A company that had very strict rules about public scandals, fraud and misappropriation. So, Monday morning at exactly 9:01 a.m., a sealed envelope landed on the desk of the company's CEO and legal team. Inside, bank documents, transaction logs, voice recordings, thanks to my PI, and a statement from me clearly outlining the entire fraudulent setup. By 10:15 a.m., she was escorted out of the building. By noon, her corporate accounts were frozen, and by 2 p.m., I got the final text I had been waiting for. "Why are you doing this to me?" To which I replied, "You wanted to be free. Now you're free from everything." But the final blow was still coming. See? It wasn't just about money. It was about truth. And I wasn't the only person she had wronged. She had also stolen funds from the joint charity we co-founded in her father's name. Something that was going to explode very publicly. But that, my friend, is what Chapter 5 is all about. Chapter 5: The Fall of Her Fake Empire. 3 days after she was escorted out of her father's company, the first article hit the local business paper, Scandal at Horizon Group. Founder's daughter accused of embezzlement and fraud. It wasn't just a headline. It was a wrecking ball because as the story unfolded, people started talking. Former coworkers, employees, even family friends. Turns out my ex-wife wasn't just siphoning money into secret accounts. She had been laundering charitable donations from the foundation we had set up in her late father's name, the same foundation that fed hundreds of underprivileged children and sponsored cancer treatment for women in rural areas. She used those funds to buy herself luxury handbags, fund secret trips with her affair partner, and get this, invest in his shady crypto startup. And I had receipts for all of it. I never wanted to go public. But the board of the charity demanded an explanation. So, I stood there in front of a small press crowd and said what I never thought I'd have to say. I want to apologize to all the donors and families who trusted us. I had no idea the woman I once loved could be capable of such betrayal. But justice will be served. Every stolen cent will be returned, and those responsible will face the consequences. I made sure to hold up a copy of the signed criminal complaint I had filed that morning with the Financial Crimes Unit. The fallout was immediate. Her new partner's crypto site went offline by nightfall. She was banned from the Horizon board indefinitely, and several donors filed separate lawsuits against her. The next day, she called me in a panic. Her voice cracked, the same voice that once said, "I do. Kevin, please. They're saying I could go to prison. This was all a mistake." I wasn't thinking clearly. "You can stop this." I paused, looked at the framed photo of our wedding I hadn't yet taken down and said, "You're right. You weren't thinking clearly. But you made it clear I wasn't needed anymore. So now you're on your own." That was the last time I ever picked up her call. Within a week, the inheritance she had tried to hide was frozen. Her affair partner ghosted her, fleeing the country with what was left of their crypto fund. Her name was dragged across every major business outlet in the region. And her mother called me sobbing, saying, "I had no idea she could stoop this low." The final blow. The luxury penthouse she tried to keep in the divorce was repossessed by the bank after she failed to keep up payments. And the moment it was emptied, I bought the same unit, renamed it Phoenix Loft, and donated it to the charity she tried to destroy. Epilogue: From Ashes to Armor. It took time, not to get over the betrayal, but to learn how to live without bitterness. That was the hardest part because when someone you love turns into someone you don't even recognize, it tears something in you. But it also builds something new, something unbreakable. After the dust settled, I focused on the one thing that never betrayed me. The mission. The foundation, once a side project, became my life's work. I partnered with a team of real people, passionate, honest, hardworking. We renamed it the Phoenix Trust, dedicated to helping children and women recover from financial and emotional abuse. Within a year, we rebuilt 3 shelters, sponsored over 60 students, and helped dozens of betrayed spouses get back on their feet, all in the name of turning pain into purpose. She tried to sue me. She tried to clear her name online, but her reputation was already scorched. Because while she ran around trying to explain herself on podcasts and gossip panels, I stayed quiet and let truth speak for itself. Eventually, she moved to a smaller city where no one knew her name or cared, and her affair partner arrested in Dubai for fraud. Karma didn't even ask for permission. Dad, are you glad it happened? I looked at him, smiled gently, and said, no. But I'm glad I survived it. And I'm proud that we didn't become like them. He nodded, held my hand, and whispered, Mom chose money, but you chose me. I'll never forget that. The final lesson. This story wasn't about revenge alone. It was about reclaiming dignity. About not letting betrayal define you. About knowing when to fight and when to walk away without looking back. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's thriving without them. And making sure the world knows exactly who they are and who you've become in spite of them. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice and share the story with someone who needs its fire. Subscribe to Revenge Exposed because here betrayals don't sleep. They hunt their owners. Every shadow hides a reckoning, every mask breaks, and every betrayal is answered. Stay sharp. Stay unbroken.